You have the radio voice. I don't really.
I have the radio voice.
From a decentralized location, this is the Crypto Effect.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Crypto Effect. The day today is January 25th, 2021, and this is our premiere episode. I'm here with my friend Warren, aka Warble, and we're going to talk about this past week in crypto. So our first topic of the day is, how did we all get started? I'll start off with Warren telling us how he got introduced.
Thanks, Brad. Well, basically, I've been involved in crypto since about the summer of 2014. It was actually kind of funny because I was trying to buy, I remember, some really obscure piece of add-on software for Maya. I remember there was this company that had written this add-on, and they were looking for, like, one of the payment options was Bitcoin. So I was like, I've heard of it, but I don't have any. So I'm like, how do I go about getting Bitcoin? So I actually went on to I remember I went on eBay, and I remember buying I think it may have been a half a Bitcoin at the time. At the time when I bought it, it was around $580. I ended up paying for this specific add-on, I paid like 23 million Satoshis, which if you look at today's rate, that'd be worth around $7,969. And I'm sure everybody's got a story like this, but yeah, $7,900 for this. So that's kind of what got me going with it. And then in 2015, I started to look into mining a little bit. I remember I bought an Antminer S1, which produced like a whopping 120 gigahash. But I was mining SHA-256, and I was mining Bitcoin, and the difficulty on Bitcoin was super low. And then after that, I was like, okay, well, how do these mining pools work? And the mining pools to me were just super interesting. I ended up setting up a Stratum mining pool for Bitcoin, set up a Litecoin mining pool, an audio coin, a peer coin, and a bunch of other pools. And then I had this company, it was actually interesting. This company in Europe sent me a message on Bitcoin Talk. And because I had my mining pool set up, at the time I was running it under like Crypto Zero. And this company reaches out to me, and this guy's, I thought he was a scammer. He's like, we can, if you're interested in running a mining pool for us on a pre-mine, it could be pretty lucrative. So I set this audio coin mining pool up. I had about 11 million audio coin at the time, getting about 400,000 audio coin a day. And at one point they were worth like 4 cents each. Of course, I sold them because that's what I usually do. I don't hold on to anything, it seems like, and ended up really losing out on an opportunity there. But what I realized is that the mining industry I think was where it was at. And I think that's really what sort of catapulted me into getting into like other types of cryptocurrencies. I can mine these things, but then the difficulty on these kept increasing and increasing and increasing. And soon the equipment that I was using was out of date. I moved on, and I continue to follow this technology in space because it's multidisciplinary. Trading and mining and economic concepts and encryption and computer science concepts and security. And to me, it's one of the few fields where like you have all that stuff all combined into one. The thing I think is going to be most exciting going forward is in the future of finance is going to be DeFi. The DeFi aspect of it is super exciting. And I think that eventually I think that's where banking is going. And that's what keeps me interested.
Yeah. That's quite detailed. I mean, that's a lot more than I can say for myself. What did you say? You said you discovered it in 2014 or 2013?
2014.
2014.
That's when I started. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so how I got involved in crypto, not quite as detailed as that. You have a lot more involvement in digging into the aspect of it, and then the mining of it, and really the community of it, which is what drove a lot of people into it, was the community of it. Just the people that surrounded it, and the aspect of its, decentralization. People love that, and that's more and more popular today. Is that's what's still driving it, is the decentralization, I think. But for
It is a
me,
goal.
how I got into it was, I'm an amateur investor. I've been an investor since probably since 1999 or year 2000. I think I kind of got into it in college, and my teachers were always pushing for investing in hedge funds and ETFs and all different kinds of things. So, I dabbled in that for most of my life. And I'd say, at some point, around 2013, 2014, is when the investing community, not necessarily the crypto community, but the investment community kind of, it came up, on that aspect. They, some of the big hedge fund guys and the Wall Street investment firms, they started discovering crypto, probably because of the Winklevosses, I'd imagine. They
Mhm.
uh, brought a lot of popularity to it, I feel like, in 2012 and 2013. So, as an investor, I saw crypto coming up, and I saw its potential. But unfortunately, I did what a lot of people did, and I listened to some of the big, gurus, I guess you might say, who were saying that crypto was a bubble and it wasn't going to go anywhere and it wasn't going to do anything. And this is back when it was $200-300 each for the Bitcoin itself. And so, I took a cautious approach, and for several years, I watched and I didn't touch. I didn't touch it, until about 2018, 2019, when easier ways to purchase came around. And you don't have to go through so many hoops. You could simply sign up with an exchange account like Coinbase, and buy small amounts. And of course, even when I did that, I didn't know what to do with it. So I think that was a big problem. Was, yeah, I've got this Bitcoin and I can trade it, but I feel like that's really all I can do. Where's my value in this? And so, and that's pretty much all I did, was trade it back and forth, and I did it just a few times, not enough to make a serious amount of money. But that's what brought me into it. And then, of course, within this last, year and a half, the attention to it has really been brought on, because of the first the increase in 2017, 2018, where it jumped to, enormous, amounts, I think highs of $20,000 back then, and then dropping back down. When that happened, I took enormous interest in it and have been watching it very closely ever since. Kind of, looking for buying opportunities and things like that. And only within this last year and a half or so, actually been investing in it. So I'm what you call it, I guess, the hodler. I purchased a hold, and that's pretty much where I am at this point.
Yeah, I really don't. I'm really not much of a trader myself. At least now, I've kind of moved in that direction as well. I do agree. I think that a lot of the, we'll call them big investors. Max Kaiser back in 2011 was mentioning, Bitcoin, and was saying, this thing is going to be big. And I believe he even tried to get his, some of his co-investors and people he was familiar with involved in it. And they just didn't
Hmm.
take it seriously. They were like, this isn't going anywhere. So
Yeah.
it's funny. There was that mentality. It was like, but I think that was common, it was common. And we're only talking about, we're talking like a decade ago, not even a decade ago.
The internet had the same effect, especially on some of the bigger, firms like Wall Street firms and big, all the big guys were all saying the internet was going to be a fad and was going to go away. And it's almost comical to know what it's come, to today, the internet,
Mhm.
knowing that there's no way this could have ever been just a fad. This was a thing, and people didn't realize its value. And I think people are actually starting to understand it enough today to realize what it's going to be in the future.
People are saying, hey, I missed the Amazon thing. I missed the Google thing.
Hmm.
I didn't invest in those.
Right. And that's what this
yeah,
that's
I
what
think
this is
this
going
is
to
the
be, I feel.
opportunity, this is the opportunity for people to do that. Some of the news and events, that we kind of looked at in this past week. So one of the things that caught my attention was the Grayscale continuing to buy up Bitcoin, and they continue to add Bitcoin to their assets under management. So on January 18th, Grayscale added another 590 million more in Bitcoin. In prior week, it was a 700 million addition of Bitcoin. And that's just one example of big institutional investors. So 16,000 Bitcoin was added, which is the equivalent of 18 days of new coins being mined, which is just absolutely insane. That's 900 Bitcoin per day. But the thing that's interesting is that Grayscale is actually scooping this stuff up before it even hits the exchanges. They're actually going directly to the mining companies and they're buying it from them directly. So a lot of this Bitcoin isn't even able to hit the exchanges. So over the last 30 days, it was 60,000 Bitcoin, which is more than 2 months of mining. And the trust and the Grayscale trust was closed for 3 weeks. So it's just amazing to me of what Grayscale is acquiring. And people see like a $3,000 drop or a $4,000 drop. You have these institutional investors that are waiting for the shakeout and they're buying these dips. So that's exactly what's happening. And I think we're going to continue to see it. My question really is, will we see Grayscale scoop up Ethereum in the same incredible rate?
Yeah, that's a good question.
But I think it's going to be over the course of a couple years before that really happens. Right now, it's sort of you've got companies like Grayscale and
BlackRock.
MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is buying up a lot of Bitcoin. Actually, I think I would almost argue that MicroStrategy started the ball rolling on this. And these guys are just going to continue to buy it. So if they continue to buy Bitcoin as a store of value, Michael Saylor's argument is, hey, I'm buying this as a store of value, and this is my way to hedge inflation. And that's why we're seeing these subtle drops, but we're not seeing drops like we saw from in 2017, where we saw that $20,000 all-time high, and then all of a sudden a year later we saw it drop all the way back down to 10,000 and then eventually settled around 4,000. So I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to continue to see it drop, maybe 5%, and then you're going to have institutional investors scoop the remainder up.
Why are they scooping this up, do you think? Why are they wanting to buy so much of this stuff? Is it to hold and control the market? Is it to keep the price of Bitcoin stabilized? Why do you think they're buying so much?
Well, I think the biggest reason they're buying it specifically as a hedge against inflation. I think a lot of these companies now are looking at it as the digital gold. And they're saying if we hold this asset, because let's remember, Bitcoin's got a finite amount. It's 21 million that's ever going to exist in circulation. How much money this year and in the past 10 years has been printed in fiat? So Bitcoin actually has that finite number. And I think that's one of the driving factors behind companies investing in it. What also found interesting and what I'm going to keep an eye on, Grayscale Investments. Grayscale is now saying, or they applied with the SEC to list or to invest in Chainlink. Also on that list was BAT, which currently sits at about 33 cents. Decentraland, which sits at 15 cents. LPT, which sits at $3.76, and Tezos sitting at $3.04.
Yeah, I think so too. I keep hearing Chainlink. Chainlink was not on my radar for a long, long time until in the last, I would say like 3 months, maybe. I keep hearing it circle the communities. So there's something going on. Anytime you're listening and you see the same YouTube video and you see the same podcast, and one crypto keeps popping up, besides Bitcoin, there's definitely something going on. There's some sort of secret going around where people are talking about possible big scoop up, or there's a new project coming along. So I keep hearing Chainlink. That's probably one I'm going to be investing in here shortly.
Well, with the boom
Um,
in DeFi, summer
mhm,
of 2020, DeFi just exploded. But Chainlink is, because it's providing an Oracle service, it's the way to allow DeFi projects to say, we need truly randomized numbers that we can trust. So think sports books,
mhm.
think online casinos, things like that. So Chainlink is providing this valuable service to these decentralized applications. And it continues to grow, by the way. It seems like every single week, Chainlink is announcing that they're integrating their Oracle services in more and more projects. So, dang, we want to jump on this early, and that's why I'm going to keep my eye on that one.
So what? So are they? What are they looking for in projects then? Whenever they're looking at Chainlink, what's grabbing their attention? Is it the community, or is it the popularity of it, or is there something uniform within the DeFi itself that's creating them this interest? Is it just because it's got a large market cap or just because of the use of it and its popularity?
Well, I
Why do you
think
think they're wanting this
Yeah,
particular coin?
so I really think that the reason they're specifically looking at Chainlink is because of the Oracle part of it. I think that what they're doing is they're seeing that and they're saying, okay, this trend is not going away. But how are these decentralized applications getting their data? What's driving their value?
Uh,
What data is driving their value? And I think that's one of the reasons that why Chainlink is being looked at by big institutional investors like Grayscale, because that data is the important part. There's Ocean Protocol, which is
mm,
another super important protocol, and another important projects I think that you're going to see more about, because people have the ability to put their data on the blockchain in a secure way. So it's these companies, that I think are going to have the spotlight on them in 2021, 2022, and so on. It's going to be the companies that can truly tap into the
mm.
data piece of it and provide it in a meaningful way. I really think that's where things are going to be headed. The other thing that caught my attention, and Ethereum hit its all-time high, of course, this past week as proof
Mhm.
of stake really takes off.
Yeah, I mean, Ethereum currently right now today, it hit its all-time high. I think it was this afternoon around noon, and it hit it at 1475 before coming right back down to 1425. And then slowly over the day, it's been dipping down below 1300. And just since we've been talking, it's jumped from 1300 to 1370. And what I've been hearing is that everyone keeps talking about Ethereum, and I know it's the number two coin, so it's going to be one of the most looked at, especially by institutional investors, I think. So it's probably the next to go if there is one that's really going to jump as well as Bitcoin has. But everyone's just been waiting for this all-time high, and I think that's where my interests are. Is moved a lot into an Ethereum because these predictions coming out are just astronomical. The prices that are being said that we're going to reach, as high as 20 to 30, 40, $50,000, where its current price is just over 1,000. So this is one that I've got my eyes on. I'm watching it very close for sure.
Yeah, so buy now.
By now, absolutely. Anything below 1300, I dip my fingers in a little bit. I just take little bites. I'd like to see a little bit. There was that 900 dip, not 900 dip, but it got down to 900 about a week ago, and I missed that opportunity. And it didn't even take several hours, and it was already back up to 12, 1300. So there's definitely some resistance. So we may not see it get back down. It may just continue up from here. So we'll see, though.
Yeah, it's really anybody's guess.
Hmm.
And then the only other thing, that really kind of caught my attention this week was the NFTs. I did make a note here and I put WTF is happening. The one thing I saw, which I was like, are you flipping kidding me?
Hmm.
Is I saw this ultra rare crypto punk that sold for 605 Ethereum.
Say
605 Ethereum, $761,000 this NFT sold for.
So for the people who don't know what NFT is, can you, I can't remember what NFT stands for.
So NFT is non-fungible token, and what it is typically it's an asset, like it can be a piece of artwork, it can be a sound file, it can be an image, it can be anything, and it can be put on the typically it's the Ethereum blockchain. So what a lot of artists are doing now is they're creating digital art and they're selling it as non-fungible tokens. And you can actually send it to somebody else. I can send you one non-fungible token, but these crypto punks that are selling for this price are absolutely staggering. I cannot get over the fact that somebody paid 605 Ethereum for one of these. These things look like something from an 8-bit Nintendo game.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it would have taken somebody literally 5 minutes to make one.
For reference, give out one of the websites that you're using for viewing these NFTs. I can't remember the name of.
So we can also put these in the show notes as well. But the website you can check is it's Larva Labs, LARVA labs.com, and then /CryptoPunks.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll add it to the show notes. But it's amazing how much people are paying for these things.
Yeah, I've seen it is kind of crazy. It does make me want to get in there and start making some art, but
me too. I want to make 605 Ethereum. There's some serious capital flowing into these things right now. Why can't I just take a screenshot? Then I would have a copy of it. But I think what it is when it comes to these non-fungible tokens is the fact that it's really kind of the underlying, the artists that created it, the creators of these crypto punks are actually well-known artists as well. So that probably helps to raise the price, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But my question about this is the capital flow on these things even legitimate? Is this just a fancy way to so is it a way to money launder? So I kind of question, like, what's the legitimacy of these $761,000? And I kind of question that a little bit.
Oh yeah, that is something. Ooh, yeah. I have to put my mind on that one for a little bit. That's an interesting point. I actually didn't pair the two together, but that's all right. I think that takes us to the next topic, which is the crypto question on Form 1040. This has been moved to the very top of the form and requires you to check yes on the infamous crypto tax question on page 1 if you purchase crypto during 2020. This language is not this language was not included in the previous draft instructions dated October 23rd, 2020. So we're going to discuss our thoughts and what this might mean for folks this tax season. Warren, why don't you go ahead and kick it off?
All right. So the infamous cryptocurrency tax discussion, lovely. Nobody wants to, I don't think anybody in crypto wants to talk about it. It's sort of the elephant in the room. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe they moved the April 15th tax filing has been moved or extended to July 15th. And I think they did that because of the COVID-19 outbreak. So it gives us a little bit more time to anticipate how screwed we're going to be when it comes time to pay our taxes. I did want to stress on this is obviously this is not new. I mean, the tax discussion in crypto is not new, but unfortunately, a lot of people just don't pay any attention to it. The reason I think it was important to bring this up is because they did introduce what's called the virtual currency tax question on the U.S. tax form. And that was in 2019. I don't think anybody really paid much attention to that because at the point when they originally put it in there, it was actually put into a section of the form where a lot of people that were filing taxes, they just didn't really look at it. But fast forward to now, and that specific type of question has been moved to, sort of in plain sight to the very top of that of of that form. Prior to that, it was displayed on Schedule 1. And again, most people really didn't look at Schedule 1. Do you have to check yes to that question? At any time in 2020, did you receive, send, sell, or exchange, otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? The IRS came back and they said, because a lot of people were already saying, well, I didn't sell any of it. I didn't trade it. So the IRS was saying, okay, well, we better clarify this. And they did. And they said, actually, what we're saying is if you bought virtual currency, you should check yes, and because they know people aren't going to do that. But I think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's clearly front and center. And I'll talk about just a second, is we have these firms that the IRS is actually contracted with, that the IRS has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on government contracts with these blockchain analytics companies. And I think what worries me is the fact that, every single transaction is trackable. Despite what people want to believe, everything that's on the blockchain is trackable. So I recommend checking yes if you bought it, which, as we know, many people probably still won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a little concerned about it, especially since they want to know if you purchased any crypto, not if you gained any income or made any money from it. So what are they want? I purchased it. So what are they going to tax me on my purchasable, crypto, all the different ones? I don't even know how much money I've spent on crypto last year and this year. I
Right.
have no
So,
idea.
what does this ultimately trigger for cryptocurrency investors?
Right.
So what does this trigger? Does the IRS come back and say, okay, well, you just told us you bought it, so now we want to see more detail? So that's my biggest question, and I think that's the thing that really is, and I haven't found any definitive answers on, is, what is that really going to mean later? What's the dangers? What are the dangers of not checking yes? So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
I mean, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big year to tell what this means. I mean, the obvious effect of why this is happening is because of these large institutional investors. I think taking place in the crypto sphere, because even BlackRock is showing that they saw more than a 5% dip in most of their hedge funds, leaving those investment firms and going elsewhere to places like Coinbase and to purchase crypto. So I think I think the IRS is starting to see the writing on the wall, the money going elsewhere, and they're going to definitely want their cut. I don't think they're going to
Oh
just let
yeah,
this slide.
absolutely. They absolutely
But
are.
the question, how are they planning to do this? Because like I said, um, every time I make a buy and sell trade, there's a gain or gain or a loss. This much went in, this much came out. With crypto, it's it's all over the place. I bought Bitcoin, then I swapped it over to Ethereum, then I swapped it over to ADA. I don't know what the end result is. Ultimately, I think it's a gain. I'm pretty sure it's a gain. I mean, we do have those different apps that we can use. I'm sure there's utilities out there that can show how much you paid in fees and versus how much you earned. But
Yeah.
do they even have those instruments in place? I mean,
Did
never
I?
once have I gone to the IRS and got my taxes done and they asked about this crypto question. So
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, so from what I'm seeing in my experience in the past couple of years with it is right now, because regulation is getting better, but the problem is right now there's still a lot of work that needs to be done on the regulatory side of things, and it makes it super confusing when you go to file your taxes. But really, at the end of the day, it's the IRS hoping that people are going to be honest enough to claim their actual capital gains, and it's just not happening. I think people are just they're not taking it serious. And,
Yeah.
but the way regulations are right now, I think we're quite a ways away from that. I mean, but the thing that's that kind of scares me a little bit is you have like I said, blockchain analytics companies like you've got Chainalysis, Elliptic, CipherTrace, and again, Chainalysis, they had a multi-million-dollar contract with the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certainly, so the IRS and the government is certainly investing in these companies that can go back and they can take a look at suspicious transactions on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Exchanges do report. So Coinbase, back in what was it, 2017, 16, they were forced by the IRS to report. I think it was a few thousand of their customers. Coinbase fought them tooth and nail to say, well, we don't want to do that. But so exchanges do report. So it's kind of it goes back to that question, what are the dangers of not checking yes, especially if that you bought Bitcoin. It is one of those things, my recommendation, I guess, would be for people to really look into some specialized crypto tax software packages that are out there. And there are some pretty good ones. There's and we can put this in the show notes, but there's Zen Ledger, there's Token Tax, there's Crypto Trader Tax. But you can actually plug your exchange information into these, and it'll go through and it'll calculate what's the potential capital gains that you owe. So really, it's better to play it safe. And that's the thing, a little bit of education as well. Long-term versus short-term capital gains. I believe there was even rumors, and I think they were nothing more than rumors, that there was discussion that literally, in my opinion, would kill crypto. Was that they wanted to actually tax unrealized gains. And that would absolutely be super detrimental to the industry if they ever did something like that.
Yeah, that would actually be horrible, because as kind of was going with what I was saying before, is I know around about how much money I've invested over the last year, but I could easily get that wrong, and be short a few $1,000s, and then what? They're just going to tax me on money I didn't actually spend, or money that I lost. So,
but there's
that'd
a
be
difference.
interesting. Yeah.
So there's a difference between actually putting the effort in to try to claim it versus not putting the effort in and saying, I'm just not going to claim anything. So I think that when you get into the the tax laws, it's kind of like the IRS looks at the lack of even filing as a criminal offense, right? You could potentially commit a federal crime in that, versus, hey, you did file. Is it accurate? Maybe it's off by a couple $1,000s, but the fact that you put the effort into filing, I think takes you out of that potential problem of committing a federal crime. So but that sort of brings us into the next thing, which I think is important, which is the most controversial thing that I've heard in a long time: the crypto wallet rule. Back in 2018, or I'm sorry, on December 18th of 2020. I don't know if you recall this. Do you remember this, Brad? The Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin was basically saying that he was proposing that anybody that was sending crypto or wanting to withdraw crypto from an exchange or send crypto to somebody else, that receiving party had to divulge their identity.
I do remember that.
So to me, this was absolutely ludicrous. This was proposed in I think it was first proposed at December 18th of 2020. Thankfully, with the Biden administration, which I believe is going to be positive for crypto, but put a freeze on this specific rule, which is awesome. So as it stands now, it's and being looked at closer. So hopefully it never goes anywhere. If you think about you think about going back to that 1040 question, in something like the crypto wallet rule becomes a reality. It's like your identity is tied to every single wallet that you own. And so you have no way to refute, anything that the IRS comes back and says, well, we saw that you withdrew it to this address. There are privacy implications that I think are beyond ridiculous. So hopefully it'll never go anywhere.
Hopefully.
And the Biden administration, I think, I think there's some positive things there. You have the Joe Biden added Gary Gensler. He's going to end up leading the SEC. The cool thing about that is this guy's pro crypto, pro regulation, which I think is what crypto needs, but I think in a good way, because he actually understands the blockchain. He taught courses at MIT, blockchain courses, which I think is absolutely cool. And even with that, I think there's a possibility we might see an exchange traded fund for Bitcoin with
on Wall Street, you talking about?
Yeah, I think I mean, that's been sort of a that's been talked about for a long time. It's like, is there going to ever be a exchange traded fund for Bitcoin? And I mean, it's talked about over and over and over again, but it's never come to any material. The other thing that Joe Biden did was he added Chris Broomer, which he's going to actually chair the CFTC, which I think is another big thing. But this guy's written books on cryptocurrency. Janet Yellen is a question mark. I don't know what she's going to do. I think she's promising to make regulations more effective, but that remains to be seen. I don't know. One of the things she said is she sees benefit in cryptocurrency, but she's saying that we need to curtail illicit use of cryptocurrency. But the reality is there was like less than 1% of illicit use with cryptocurrency. But I think we were talking about this before, is like, how do they really know that?
Right.
So overall, I feel as though it's a positive shift in power. But at the end of the day, let's face it, this is government. Who knows? I mean, who knows where we'll be in 6 months with the Biden administration? I do think it's a positive thing, though. And one other thing I did want to mention on that is with regulation. I wanted to point out, because I think a lot of people are thinking, well, crypto doesn't really have any. It's a wild west. But there is regulation in cryptocurrency. I think it's a myth that people really do need to dispel, honestly. That it's unregulated, but because if you look at companies like Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, some of these massive exchanges, they spend millions of dollars on compliance every single year, and they're spending it on compliance for a reason. I mean, it's just like any other bank or financial institution. So obviously there is some regulation that might steer away some people that are new and want to get involved in it, is thinking, I want to be involved in something, that is actually regulated. So there is.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting that if it's not regulated, then, what happened to Mt. Gox? What happened to BitInstant? Why were they taken down and some of them gone to prison for not licensing?
Exactly.
If it wasn't regulated and it was just the Wild West, how is Coinbase even functioning? How are these large Gemini companies? Somebody's got an eye on them. Somebody's pulling data from their clientele. So obviously, yeah.
Regulations is slow to catch up, but it is catching up. And it'll be, I think it depends a lot on the administration. I think we're going to see some positive things with some of the members of the Biden administration.
Well, I definitely think the reason we're seeing the increases in the prices that we're seeing is because there is a telltale sign writing on the wall of a lot of people who have a lot of money. And I think they're identifying it before it really starts hitting the mainstream, and then everybody who can purchase is purchasing. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's definitely a telltale sign, especially with the prices that we're seeing across the board.
So one of the things I think would be cool to add for each show, and I was talking to Brad about this, and I see this a lot. So is what is the current market cap? How does the market cap look like when you compare it to from cryptocurrency to more traditional things like gold? So I think it's cool just to mention it quick. So I got this number a little bit earlier today. But the Bitcoin market cap currently sits at 615 billion, 615.76 billion. And the gold market cap is sitting at 11.837 trillion. So Bitcoin is 5.2% of gold's market cap. And what I think is really cool is I think Bitcoin eventually, and I think a lot of people think Bitcoin eventually is going to surpass gold. You do the math. And that is, I think that's going to eventually be a staggering price for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who are taking, what Bitcoin's compared to, which is the gold market, and adjusting, the volume for the market cap of gold with it being at 5%. If you were to move Bitcoin's market cap into the vicinity of gold, it would be close to, what was the number? $500,000 per coin.
500 million.
No,
Or,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry. No. Sorry. I'm thinking market cap
you're
still.
thinking market cap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
500,000. Yeah, 500,000 per coin.
500,000 per coin. If we were to reach gold's market cap, which I mean, I guess that's
Oh,
possible.
I think it's going to surpass gold's market cap.
Yeah. So Bitcoin, you think is going to surpass? What gives you that impression? I'm curious
Well,
on that.
let me ask you this. So let's say you live in Europe and I
Hmm.
live here in the States, and I want to send you, let's say I want to send you $500. Well, am I going to send you $500 in gold, which is going to take, I don't know, it's got to go through customs. It's got to it's got to
Yeah.
go through all these checkpoints, and
Hmm.
it's going to cost money for shipping, and you might get it in a couple weeks.
Hmm.
Or here's the thought. Let me send you $500 in Bitcoin.
Hmm.
It's going to cost me $1, and you're going to get it in about a half hour.
Right.
So I think it's digital gold. It's
Hmm.
a lot of people aren't using Bitcoin that way, but let's face it, it is the future of finance. That's why I think gold, yeah, sure, gold's still being used in things like cell phones and whatever else. But I think at the end of the day, I think having something like Bitcoin and
Hmm.
being able to send and actually being able to transact in it, I think that's why it surpasses gold's market cap.
I mean, if you really think about it and you think far into the future, farther than what most people can really reach, um, it makes sense for it to bypass gold. I think a lot of people can't let go of the fact that gold's a tangible item, right? Um,
Well, my
but
ledger,
I've never held a gold bar in my life.
my, my ledger's a tangible item.
True.
I mean,
Right. Right.
but then you have these,
But
you have these gold bugs that'll be like, oh, but I have this card. I have this card, so technically I can use it. I can buy
well,
something with it.
gold is the backup for the dollar. So yes, a dollar is a paper, but it gets backed up by gold because gold's a
Oh
tangible
no,
item.
not anymore. We're off the gold standard now.
True. Hmm.
I mean, what was it like
What's
this?
what's what's the what holds gold's value then?
I think it's just like anything else. It's what people think it's worth. And also it's what companies are paying for it, because they're putting it in products, that's being used in certain things. But I don't even like gold. Like I I like silver better. Um,
Uh,
but really at the end of the I just think that Bitcoin is well, any digital currency, quite frankly, it's so much easier to transact with. And the
oh
thing
yeah.
is, cash is, let's face it, like, your Visa card or whatever you have, You can obviously you can still transact with that, but it's backed by a fiat currency, which
Mhm.
is losing value constantly, right? So that's the piece that I think is different. It's not, Bitcoin is, you can mine it, but nobody can just decide to make more of it.
Mhm.
Like they
Right.
can with fiat currency, where people are just going to continue to print it. Governments are going to continue to print it if they need things for financial stimuluses, and the list goes on. I mean, I think in the past, what was in the past couple, like in the past year, even with the COVID-19, I think the government's printed trillions of dollars. So think about what that actually does to the value. It just
Mhm.
continues to go, the value of it just continues to decrease. Hey, I'm going to buy something with my Visa card. Um, well, sure, I can buy that pair of sneakers next year too, but the price is going to be more expensive because it's based on the dollar. So final thoughts, I guess, to wrap it up. What are you going to be looking at watching this week, Brad?
I think this is definitely going to be an interesting week. The last 4 weeks, 6 weeks have been really interesting weeks for I think just about everything in circulation. You could have jumped on anything 2 months ago and you would have had a profit today. There has been a little bit of stagnation over the last week, but I think my eyes are really focused on Ethereum and Cardano. I keep hearing these circulate across all different kinds of boards and YouTube channels, and there's just a lot of focus on these two coins right now. I know we talked about Chainlink. Chainlink is another one that I will be paying attention to this week. But specifically Ethereum and Cardano, especially with Ethereum reaching its all-time highs today. And Cardano just being a popular coin right now. I think a lot of people are talking about it, and it's got a low evaluation price right now. So it'd be a good entry for today, I think. So I'm putting a little bit in both, but keeping a specific eye on Ethereum.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on Chainlink. That's at the top of my list. Of course, I got to keep an eye on Ethereum, but I'm just going to keep an eye on DeFi in general. I think in general there's so much going on with it right now. But yeah, definitely Chainlink. And by the way, Chainlink actually displaced Litecoin and took 7th place right now.
Oh,
So interesting. At least it was earlier today. I don't know if that's still the case.
I'll have to take a
Um,
look. But
so
yeah.
yeah, so actually, the flipping is happening. So yeah. Anyway, I gotta definitely keep an eye on Chainlink. The other one that I find is really kind of interesting, and I'm keeping an eye on it, is Uni. Uniswap
Oh,
is absolutely on fire right now, and
so you brought Uniswap to my attention about 8 months ago, I think. And of course, it just came out. It hit those all-time highs of like $6, and then it dropped down to what, three?
$3, yeah.
And now it's at what, 11?
Now it's at 11. Earlier today it was at $11.53.
I mean, and it did that it went from 3 to 11, I think, in a week.
Yeah, so I'm keeping an eye on that. 1inch
Mhm.
is another one to keep an eye on. Sushi Swap is another one to keep an eye on. The DeFi assets. So I
Mhm.
think these have a lot of potential for movement. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. DeFi assets, definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. I'll be
um,
paying attention to those as well.
one quick thing before we go, I wanted to shout out to crypto devs. I really think without them, a lot of this wouldn't be possible. And the reason I mention that is because Craig Wright, probably everybody's seen it, but he has a lawsuit threatening many Bitcoin devs and companies that are hosting the Bitcoin white paper, and the guy is just plain ridiculous. So anyway, I just wanted to shout out to all crypto devs. Keep up the good work.
Yes. All right. Nice. So hopefully we'll be back here next week with some new segments. Um, anything to leave off with besides crypto devs?
No, I think I'm good.
All right.
It's been
Well,
fun.
Warren, yeah, appreciate you. Thank you very much. We'll be getting back together here in about a week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe.
That's right.
Thank you for watching.
Cool.
Later.